The following is an exclusive presentation of News Radio KMAN, your home for K-State athletics. It's game time. This is The Game on News Radio KMAN.
The radio equivalent to getting like a new pair of pants, like a new pair of jeans, is getting new headphones.
100%, yeah.
Because I got hooked up with new headphones. I can feel it too. Because it's like new jeans. They're the right size, but they're definitely snug for now.
Careful with those, please. Because
I do kind of have a fat head. I'm going to stretch them out a little bit.
Well, the pair yesterday fell apart for Brandon when he went to grab them. So that's how you have new headphones.
Oh, okay.
I was like, do you have mine? Because I have new ones over here, too. I don't know what these are.
Those are mine.
Oh, well, they were the only ones.
He left his personal headphones in the studio.
They're the only ones getting signal right now, so that's what I'm using. So you want to come hook the other two up, I'll gladly take these off.
Amazing how that happens, right?
Yeah, I was like, oh, this is weird. And there's only 2 headsets instead of 3, so I was like, oh, maybe the usual one's broke. I don't know what's going on, but who knows?
We'll have to get some folks on that.
Owen is rocking a lavender K-State hat, and I don't think I've seen that design yet. It's a base lavender base, the regular purple power cat, the script Wildcats on the side. Is there anything on the left side? Oh, the Nike swoosh. That's a good hat. There's a lot going on. Kind of reminds me of those MLB hats that were put out a while back that had like all the area codes on them and stuff.
Yeah.
Like there's a lot happening. This is just way better. Those hats didn't last long. Those will. Those lavender hats will. Is that a Dick special?
It is, yeah.
I was going to say from the golf department.
I don't know if it's one of the golf ones or not.
That doesn't look like a golf hat.
I couldn't remember. It's got a little bit too much room up top, so the brim sits like on my glasses.
That's because you have a funny shaped head.
I do.
Hey, join the club there, yeah.
No, Troy has a good shaped head.
Oh, okay.
His is normal.
It's just me.
People that bald have a great shaped head.
Is that the key?
This is a fact.
I just need to cut it all off.
Maybe besides Sean McDonough. He has like a stretched out head.
Oh my!
Like you stretched some Play-Doh a little bit and then it hardened. Mm-hmm. His is like looks like a hot dog bun.
That's a great visual.
Oh my!
Like Brian Smoller. Brian Smoller has a great shaped head. Troy has a great shaped head. Stone Cold Steve Austin has a great shaped head.
I was immediately like bald wrestlers.
But I mean The Rock.
Yeah,
that's
true.
I think he doesn't have to be bald, but he chooses to do so.
Yeah, his hairline was starting to drop back a little bit. I think he looks better bald.
I'm sure LeBron has a great shaped head. I'm sure he does.
I've been waiting for that for years.
But he's got to let it go.
He's holding on to it.
Quit with the hairspray, as in the spray that puts hair on your head. I don't know if that's still a thing or not. That was like in the 90s or something, but.
Yeah, I don't know if it's exactly like that, but yeah, he's been clutching on to his hair for a little too long at this point.
Is it Hair for Men? Is that what I'm thinking?
Hair Club?
Hair Club for Men?
Yeah. Or Bosley Medical Group.
Man, what a throwback that is.
Old Bosley commercials.
Welcome to the game. Mitch Fortner alongside Troy Coverdale and Owen Burke with us across the glass. We're with you for a full 2 hours today. Very rare thing to happen this week to have a full show, or we only have 30 minutes tomorrow. Because a reminder, K-State baseball will start a 3-game series at UCF. That's on the East Coast, so it's going to happen a little bit earlier this weekend. So both Friday and Saturday, first pitch at 5 o'clock. Pre-game 4:30. We'll have a 12 o'clock pitch on Sunday.
Smaller is going to be glad to be in Orlando after the briskness of yesterday in Springfield.
And they got the win, 8-4. Good win for the Cats. It was kind of a, started out really well. Bullpen was a little up and down in the middle innings, and Missouri State was getting some runs across. Then the Cats respond, and shout out to Culpepper, hitting another home run. Now has 7 on the year.
Yes.
So congratulations to Culpepper on that. Kalen, his Twitter handle is the Chosen One
KC.
KC.
Yeah.
I was like, okay, there's his nickname now. He is the Chosen One officially. He's having a very good last few weeks.
Sorry.
Coming up on the show today at 5:10, we'll be joined by the Kansas City Stars' Mike Hendricks. We haven't had a chance to talk about this yet because it became official on Tuesday night. We didn't have a show yesterday, so it's our first chance to talk about it coming up in hour number 2. We're going to speak with Mike Hendricks, who actually covers local government for the Kansas City Star. We're going to discuss the rejected 3/8 sales tax vote that was going to help pay for the renovations at Arrowhead Stadium, a new stadium for the Kansas City Royals in the Crossroads District, and it did not go through. So we're going to hear some details on that from Mike coming up here at 5:10. 5:25, we'll get into Doug McDaniel signing with the K-State Wildcats. That's official as of today. Here in hour number 1, I do want to discuss there's a Kansas City Chief that might be in some big trouble. And it's at the wrong position.
Right?
That's kind of bad way to think about it, probably. That's your first thing you think of as well. They want to lose a guy, wide receiver. We'll get to that a little bit later on. Plus, K-State has announced its 2024 volleyball schedule. Right now, we're trying to work on getting our first guest because we didn't have a show yesterday. Mason Voth from K-State Online is scheduled to join us, but we're having some technical difficulties right now. We got him now? All right, we're good to go. So let's bring in officially Mason Voth. It's Thursday, guys. You know what that means. Dynamite was yesterday.
Yeah, okay.
I haven't had a chance to watch it yet, but I hear good things. It's Thursday. Let's make up for our weekly segment with K-State Online. We now welcome in Mason Voth. Mason, let's start out with a real interesting question here. Which number is more? The months old your daughter is, or the blown games by the Kansas City Royals bullpen?
Currently, it is months old that my daughter is, but actually, it's going to really depend. It's going to be a tight race because we got 5 days until she turns 8 months old, and the Royals are going to play 4 games over the next couple, and they've already lost 4 games, and I would credit the bullpen on 3 of those. Now, I could be mean and say that opening day was on the bullpen because it was 2-1, and a 2-1 game in the 9th inning when the meat of your orders coming up is a lot different than a 4-1 game. So, but I'll be fair to them and say that they've only cost the Royals 3 times, and I hate every single person in that building that's not named Bobby Witt Jr.
Well, who else? I mean, who would be then the closest to Bobby Witt Jr. that you would consider liking?
Michael Garcia hitting the ball well right now.
Right now, yeah.
I have no problem with him. But
Okay.
really, outside of that, I mean, Cole Reagans, he doesn't deserve any guff at this point.
Well, I'd say the whole rotation, they're not doing too bad right now, are they?
Yeah, they're fine, but there's a lot of the success of the Royals this year is built kind of on a house of cards. So we'll see how it goes. But Reagans is the most steady. I've been impressed by everybody else to this point, but I don't know how reliable that is to keep up as good as it was the first week of the season. But the bullpen is just destined to really suck because it's a lot of bad options there.
Well, see, I have you been playing the new MLB The Show?
Of course. Well, when I get like a 30-minute period when I maybe get a chance, but I've played enough of it.
Well, so I'm trying to do what you used to do. I don't know if you still do, but I'm trying to play a full 162.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm playing with the Royals. And so far, I think the bullpen's been working for me. I don't play at the easiest difficulty. I'm kind of in the middle of the pack, like, kind of between easy and as hard as it can get. But Will Smith has been pretty good. Is Will Smith, though, is he like clearly the biggest issue right now?
Well, right now, yeah, because he has directly been the reason for some of these blow-ups. He cost them the Saturday game against Minnesota and then obviously yesterday against Baltimore. But I would say that the real problem with the bullpen is J.J. Piccolo. You know how I love the crap on general managers of the Kansas City Royals, but the Will Smith situation is like a perfect example of what's wrong with them right now is that I thought they made a lot of nice, solid, steady moves to make the lineup a little bit stouter. Obviously, the starting rotation has been strengthened, but the back end of the bullpen is a young man's game where it's all about throwing the ball hard. And bringing back a guy that played for you a decade ago that's deeper into his 30s now and has always been a low-velocity fastball guy is not a good sign. And I saw somebody post it last night, but Will Smith, the average velocity on his fastball, his entire career has basically sat at like 92, maybe topping out at 93. Over the start of this season, his average velocity is down to 90. So he has either gone over the hill or there is something medically wrong with him, and it's just another issue that the Royals have where you just can't have a bullpen full of guys that are throwing sub 95. That's just not how the world works anymore, especially if they're just going to throw, hittable balls or not be able to throw strikes, and that's really all that this bullpen's done so far.
Is Salvi not off to a good start? I'm looking at his numbers right now. I think they're fine.
They're fine, but you know how I am with Salvador Perez.
You think he's washed up?
Well, yeah, I'm not a 45-year-old mom that likes to be excited about Salvi like the lady in the Price Chopper commercials during games. I see right through it, and I understand that Salvador Perez, the value is waning on him, and having a Salvador Perez that could get you something significant because catchers are always in demand, and he's a good one. I just think that you're wasting everybody's time and you're not doing the best for the organization by hanging on to him. So I don't know. But I like Salvador Perez. He's a great Royal, but I think Kansas City has botched handling that situation. But I know that I'm in the minority there because there are a bunch of people that, are much different about how they see sports. They would rather just enjoy the people in it as opposed to the wins, and I would rather enjoy the wins, and I don't care who's doing it.
I think Salvi has 2 years left on his contract. I think he's in there for 2026. What's up, Owen?
I was kind of hoping that, now I don't think it's possible now, like probably 2-3 years ago, maybe a slide to first base to try to save his knees a little bit and get some more length out of him, because that was coming off, he hit 50 home runs, what was that, 20...
He did it in 2021. He had a strong COVID year, and then 2021 he was good. They're trying right now to balance him out a little bit more. They can get Vinny to DH because they like Fermin behind the plate. And honestly, this has kind of been what I've noticed to start the season. I think defensively, Salvi's a better first baseman right now than he is a catcher. And if you can get Freddie Fermin to hit the ball like he did at times last year to where he's not a negative to have in the lineup, that's something that I'm not opposed to doing. And then, Vinny's DHing every day, and you can still give, Fermin doesn't have to be in there every day, so you can still slide Salvi behind the plate when you need to. But I'm not opposed to that being something they experiment with more. And, they've played 6 games, and Salvi's already started 2 of them at first base, so that's a good sign.
If I'm in the late innings and I need a pinch hitter, I always go Freddie Fermin for Salvi. I don't need no Jake Taylor trying to stretch one out to first base to get a game-winning hit home. All right, Mason, one more question before we get into basketball and we take our first break. So last night you may have seen the highlight that the Wichita State Shockers walked off against the Kansas Jayhawks there at X Stadium. Which way do you go when Wichita State and KU play each other?
It's sport dependent on how things go. Baseball, the Shockers can have their fun, though. I will support them in that endeavor, partly because I've gotten to know a lot more Wichita State people on the baseball side that I really like and respect, and they have one of the greatest college baseball histories of all time. And I would also say that I like their logo that has Woo playing baseball. So you get a mascot playing the sport as your logo. I'm all in on that. So give me Wichita State. That was good to see last night.
We're joined by Mason Voth from K-State Online, and when we come back, we get into basketball. His reaction to Doug McDaniel becoming a cat out of the transfer portal after these words on the game. The game continues. Mitch Fortner, Troy Coverdale, Owen Burke. And we're also joined via the Zoom that is not Zoom. I'm forgetting what it's called now.
I think it's just Google Meet.
Google Meet. Is
Gargle
that it?
Meet, yeah.
The old Goog. Mason Voth from
Taking
K-State
over the
Online.
world, man.
What's that?
Taking over the world.
Yeah. We're good.
I actually like it better. I think it sounds clearer. And once I found the email in my spam folder of all places, it's worked just fine.
Yeah, my emails from Owen go to spam too. I kind of hear you on the clear audio. Well, the best part about it is it's free.
I mean, that's helpful too. Also, real quick, just want to get this out here so you guys know how committed I am and how much I would do for a great station like KMAN. I am sitting here with baby poop on my leg currently.
Oh, boy.
Elliot decided to go to the bathroom. And I was like, yeah, it seems like she may have gone. It smelled a little funky. I lifted her up. Sure enough, she did. And I looked down, and I do have some remnants that have leaked out onto my shorts. But I'm going to sit here, play through the pain, and give you guys my best go.
So we may hear sprays of air freshener at varying points.
I wish there was some in the house. I think we are out currently. I had a look last night. My wife was doing something outside, and some chemical that she was brewing inside, it stunk up the whole house. So I'm surprised I'm not dead.
Let's make a game out of this, guys. Over under on times Mason has either been pooped or peed on. I'm going to set it at 3.5.
Today or
I'm going to go under. That's what I'm going to go under.
Numbers today? I mean, gee,
Or over the last 7 months and 25 days.
Yeah.
That'd be.
I'll give you a little help here, Troy. Babies do not poop and pee on you as much as you would think.
Okay.
If you're out, although I've got a girl, so boy babies, they might shoot it a little bit.
Didn't happen to me, actually. Insider info there.
Well, and you have a son, right?
I do have a son. Yeah, he's 2 now.
Okay.
So it doesn't happen as often as people act like it. Like, I remember talking to my mom and all my family members, like when Caitlin was still pregnant, and like, oh, just wait till he fire hoses on you. It never happened. I was like, you guys are playing this up to be worse than it is.
I mean, I was going to guess over because I watched a baby with Lindsay for a week one time, and I think I got pooped on once.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely happened. Now, if you throw puke in there, you throw a little vomit in there, the numbers skyrocket.
Mason?
I think it's the over, but 3.5 is a really good number. The first day we came home from the hospital, I was changing her diaper and she started going again, a number 2, and I thought I stopped most of it, and then I went out to go grab food for us, and I came back and my mother-in-law asked what was on my shirt, and I had a couple of speckles of poop on there as I had gone out in public to get food, so that was great. She peed on me one time changing a diaper, but she's into like rolling a ton on the changing table now, and so I was trying to corral her, and the diaper was all messed up and just all over my hand. And then she's kind of gone through the diaper and pooped on me a handful of times. So the number is probably 4 or 5, I would say.
Well, if there's a segue out of that into Doug McDaniel, some may say his freshman year was a bit poopy at times. Sophomore year was much better. He was a starter for a lot of that freshman year. Sophomore year started the whole year despite having to sit out a handful of games on the road due to maybe having some rough grades once in a while. But 16 points a game. He's a career 36 3-point shooter, and he is now officially signed as the first player out of the portal for K-State and men's basketball in Jerome Tang. Where on the dude scale does Doug McDaniel fall there, Mason?
I mean, what does the scale look like? We talking numbers, or are we going like Javon Thomas to Marquise Noel?
We're going from Freddie Aspria to Jacob Pullen.
Okay. A couple of your guys for different reasons.
Yep, for sure.
You guys know Mitch used to play basketball with Freddie Aspria at Cloud County.
Had no idea. Never had heard about that.
Well, the famous stories is he was underneath the hoop and he swatted my shot as I took it from the free throw line.
I would say that Doug McDaniel probably. I don't want to demean him or like do it to another guy. I would just say that he has the potential to be like a really solid like 1B in terms of how he's viewed K-State wise. Like He's obviously, I don't think, going to be as good as Marquise Noel, but he is of a player that could probably be a little bit better than like what Kamau Stokes was. Like, if Kamau Stokes was playing on a team that didn't have Dean Wade and Barry Brown, we might view Kamau Stokes in even a higher level than we do. I just think that there's a lot of good individual talent there, and we saw that at times at Michigan. He just was in bringing back up number 1 and number 2, he was on a really crappy team at Michigan because he had a really crappy coach in Juwan Howard, and I don't think that's a hard thing to say considering Juwan had some pretty bad teams down the end, and then also on top of that, he didn't necessarily carry himself the best when he was smacking other teams' coaches. So I think it's just a weird circumstance at Michigan, but everything he brings to the table is valuable. He obviously knows how to score the basketball. He had 2 games where he scored 30 points last season. In total, had 6 games where he was over 20, obviously averaged 16 a game. The shooting is something that excites me. He's 37% basically last year as a three-point shooter. That's 2.5 points better, percentage points that is, than what K-State's best three-point shooter, Arthur Kaluma, was this past year. And that's what this K-State offense needs is you need shooters and you need guys that can make plays. Doug McDaniel can shoot the ball and he can make plays on his own. So this is a really good get for K-State to top things off. I think it's huge to be able to start portal season with either your number 1 target or very close to your number 1 target, as opposed to going through the entire process hoping that, okay, we've got these guys, but we need that piece that ties it all together. Now you're just looking for the supplemental pieces around Doug McDaniel.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm watching a ton of highlights on him earlier today. And, highlights obviously don't show the struggles that he may have had during the year. And you're right. Michigan was a horrible team that when they did not have Doug McDaniel, they struggled greatly without him. You mentioned the shooting. Is that the single most thing you like about him the most? Or is there something else that stands out the most about what makes him really good as a basketball player?
I think the shooting is just something that anybody that's listened to me talk for a long time knows that it's what I'm most intrigued by. I think that he probably is – he's more of like a guy that can be a playmaker and get his shot about anywhere. But the three-point shooting is a benefit, and you look and see the volume that he had on his three-point shooting. That's a benefit too, where this guy is going to be able to knock it down consistently, and you're not just going to have to kind of bank on small sample sizes. He shot almost 6 threes a game last season and was at 36.8%. So the shooting's a good thing. I would also say another thing that stands out to me that I like about Doug McDaniel's game is he played almost 35 minutes a game, a little over, and his turnovers, he was at 2.4, and then he was almost near 5 assists a game. That's something that K-State greatly needs coming off of last year, where turnovers, it was a high number that the Wildcats committed, and I'm sure everybody was kind of ripping their hair out whenever you saw it. I mean, if you go and look at the high-minute guys for K-State this past season, their top 3 highest usage guys, they were all 2.7 for Tyler Perry, 2.8 for Arthur Kaluma, and then obviously everybody knows about Cam Carter with 3, just right on the money. So I think that's a number that is good to see. It's a half point lower than what Cam Carter gave you, and I think Doug McDaniel, I don't know that this is a fair comparison, but in the way that I view him, he's probably what the full-formed Cam Carter that people wanted is, where Cam Carter, you saw the flashes. He had the tools to be a guy that could make some plays. It looked like the shooting was going to be better. Like when he's on, you got a complete Cam Carter. Doug McDaniel is going to be able to give you that offensively on a more consistent basis. And I think he is ready to be that star and all Big 12 performer that people wanted Cam Carter to be this past season.
Tell you what, Doug McDaniel really has an underrated mid-range game, and he has a variety of ways he'll shoot the basketball, either off the dribble, a catch and shoot. He loves the elbow jumpers. He likes to shoot from the wings on the three-point line. He has his spots on the floor, but he'll surprise you at times when he decides to shoot the basketball. With Mason Voth from K-State Online, Were you a fan of him using, I don't know who made the video, but of him using that Bill Self comment of he sarcastically said, it's a great day to be a Wildcat in his announcement video?
Yeah, I mean, this is the thing that some people I just don't think comprehend or understand is like it's the off season, and that's a guy that's coming in and playing to his base, and college basketball rivalries are supposed to have this attitude to it, and they're supposed to be a mixture of fun, but also like there's supposed to be hate involved in them. Like Bill Self and Jerome Tang, they don't need to be shaking hands and kissing cheeks at midcourt before every game. Like it's good for those two guys to not see eye to eye. It's good to have a little bit of juice in the rivalry. And so I think it's totally fine. I enjoy it. And college basketball needs more of that. Like people wonder, why is the college basketball regular season not as, exciting or as potent anymore? I mean, I growing up, Duke, North Carolina, it was like, I'd watch that game every time. It was built up to be a big deal, but you had personalities and you had two teams that hated each other. Now it's just like, okay, you got two teams that are regional rivals in North Carolina playing each other. I don't care about that game one lick anymore. You need to have some of this juice and spice to it, and I think that's good for K-State. So I'm good with Doug McDaniel doing it. Now, you have to back it up. Like when you do these things, you have to be able to come out and back it up. So Cats are going to have to get another win against KU next year, because if not, you have to be prepared to deal with the backlash that will come and will be deserved if, KU people are throwing it back at you if you don't beat them next season.
Just get the game to overtime. Mason Voth from K-State Online is our guest. One final question before we wrap it up, just looking at the Final Fours that are coming up. Actually, the women start tomorrow. The men start on Saturday. Which Final Four are you more interested in watching, the women or the men?
The men.
Really?
Yeah, I mean, I know people are ripping Ryan Russillo to shreds right now for admitting on his podcast Tuesday that he did not watch LSU and Iowa past halftime because it just wasn't for him. I just don't have any connection, number one, to the women's game, and I'm not interested in watching it. Like, I watched the Royals and Orioles on Monday. That's what I wanted to do. I wanted to watch my team. I can't even say that I'm going to watch much of the men's Final Four. Like, I just will watch it more because I know more about it. I'm more interested in the outcome there. I have more of a history watching that side of it, and it's going to entertain me more. I'm not overly interested when we get down to the end anyways now in a lot of sports. Like, it's been a long time since I've really been excited to watch the college football national championship game. It helped that TCU was there 2 years ago, but then they got smashed, so it's like you're not watching all of that. I'm not as intrigued about it anymore because I don't think we get as compelling of matchups at this point in time. So, like UConn-Purdue would probably be a pretty compelling matchup, but everything else really does not interest me right now because I think UConn rolls Alabama, and I think Purdue rolls NC State. I think the women's side will be more competitive because, as we know, like Iowa is built up to be the favorite, but we know that they're beatable and that they have their flaws. It'll probably be interesting if you get to see Iowa and South Carolina play, just because I think people that you kind of like to have somebody to root against, and I think people either will be on one side where they're ready to root against South Carolina and just another one of these undefeated women's dynasty teams, or root against Caitlin Clark because as great of a player she is, like it's okay to admit that Caitlin Clark can kind of be a little bit of a pot stirrer on the court and not the most likable personality. Like all this stuff can happen. So I think it's good the position that both games are in right now, men and women, for what they have in their Final Four. For somebody like me, I don't know that I'm overly interested in watching either of them.
Boy, I am way more interested in the women's Final Four than the men, but I'll explain all that coming up at 5:40. Mason, we can wrap it up there. Thank you for your time. Enjoy cleaning up the poop.
Yeah, go get yourself cleaned up, buddy.
It's going to be fun.
See you, Mason.
See ya.
It's Mason Voth from K-State Online joining us here on The Game. Let's take a break. When we come back, boy, a Kansas City Chief might be in some big trouble, and those details are next. How about that heel turn last night?
Yeah, I was upset. You said you hadn't watched it yet. I was like, man.
I did catch that. That was going kind of nuts.
That it was.
Because it was it Beretta?
Yeah, it was Beretta that
turned on Orange Cassidy with the haluva kick. Mm-hmm. That was a great knee. I was like, damn, that was really good.
That was a good one. And they set it up for the hug, too, and just blasted him. I was like, I saw you had this one in there. I was like, it's an odd one to have in there. I don't know if I'm ever going to have a time that's going to be right to use it.
May not be used again. Hey, real quick, because we're about to jump into a little bit of NFL. What'd you think of the Stephon Diggs going to the Texans trade? It's like the Texans now look pretty good.
Yeah.
I know Diggs getting a little bit up there, but...
Yeah.
And the twist is that they're going to leave, that basically they're going to void everything on the contract after this year.
Yeah.
He can become a free agent next year.
So it's a very interesting set, and I will agree. As a Ravens fan, I'm upset because year 2 Lamar Jackson was thrown to Sammy Watkins, and I've watched Josh Allen get Diggs. Now Stroud gets Diggs. All these guys are getting star receivers. But as far as it goes, you have to take advantage while your quarterback's on a rookie contract, and Houston is taking that to heart. And as far as the voiding the contract, it avoids any bad play for those last 3 years. I don't think he's lost a step, in my opinion. I think he's still probably a top 10, top 15 receiver in the game. And as far as the free agency thing goes, of course, he's going to be fully open to getting another payday. You avoid being stuck with him at 34 in a bad contract. And also, if he does leave, you get a compensatory pick back in the long run as well. So it is weird, but to me, it kind of does work out.
It does also sweeten the pot a little bit for him and maybe gets you past some of the issues that were problematic in Buffalo.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, you have Stroud in his second year. Joe Mixon comes in after, 1,100 yards last year. Mm-hmm. Diggs is obviously really good. Nico Collins was one of the best wide receivers in the NFL last year. Like, that off. Dalton Schultz, who I think is really good,
He's
former Dallas Cowboy.
Yep.
That skill position-wise, the offense is pretty stacked for the Houston Texans.
What they did with the front office and their coaching situation now just over a year ago has played out perfectly for them. That wound up being altogether great moves all the way around.
Yeah, Nick Caserio has done a
tremendous.
Meanwhile, now we go to the Chiefs, and we're going to get into the topic of Chiefs Royals, the 3/8 sales tax to renovate Arrowhead Stadium, take a chunk of that, plus some of that money as well going towards the Royals building a new downtown stadium was not voted in. Got no voted on Tuesday by those that live in Jackson County. So we're going to get more info on that from Kansas City Star's Mike Hendricks that'll join us at 5:10. What I wanted to bring up specifically about the Kansas City Chiefs is Rashee Rice, because this came out on Saturday. He was involved in a multiple vehicle accident that nobody was hurt seriously. There are a lot of minor injuries, but it's speculated that he may have been racing a Lamborghini
SUV.
I didn't know an SUV, which he knew the people in the SUV.
I had no idea that there was such a thing, an SUV made by Lamborghini.
Yeah, the Lamborghini Urus is what it's called. I would assume. I don't know that, but that's their most popular one.
We don't know if they were racing or not, because that's still under investigation. Nobody's been charged with anything because it's still under investigation. But Rashee Rice has been, first year, of course, rookie wide receiver for the Chiefs, has been fully cooperating with the police, and his attorney spoke to the media earlier today. The big question was he driving? That's a major difference is if he was driving compared to if he was a passenger. Mm-hmm. Major difference. It did come out today that he was driving the Lamborghini. What that could mean is right now Rashee Rice is facing a felony charge. Because in the state of Texas, if you are racing on a highway, that is a felony in the state of Texas.
Not only that, but you have the additional charges that would come with it for not remaining at the scene of an accident,
right.
In
Leaving
which
the
others.
Scene.
Mm-hmm.
Yep, that was another part of it. Also, a woman who was in a Uber that was involved in the crash, she was a passenger, suffered a concussion. She has now hired a lawyer. So you're looking outside of the charges, facing multiple lawsuits. Now, with the felony and the potential charges that could add up, I was reading about this there's a possibility not only of a major fine, but 15 years in prison for this one thing. It is really, I don't think this was talked about enough. this week so far about how big of a deal this could actually be for Rashee Rice. Now, with him being so cooperative, he has come out and said that he is willing to help in any way he can. He'll take care of everything when it comes to anybody that was hurt or was a victim in this crash. He is trying to do everything right after making a pretty big mistake. That could be definitely taken into consideration. We're probably a long way from settling all that. But I'm just saying there's some things over his head right now that he's probably really stressed out about.
Oh, absolutely. And if you're the Chiefs, you are watching this going, really?
Yep.
Really. This is where we now find ourselves ahead of the draft. Something that we thought we had solidified a season ago, at least in one spot. Now we're going to have to go back to the drawing board a little bit.
Yeah, the draft starts 3 weeks from today. Now, even if he doesn't end up getting charged with anything, the NFL can still do their own thing.
Yep.
So I think there is a good chance that at the very least he's going to face a suspension.
Yeah. 100%.
Oh, absolutely.
And you're talking about by far their best wide receiver last year.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody was ever – I mean, Kadarius Toney was such a flop last year. Justin Watson, Marquez Valdez-Scantling, they all play a full season, but they were real spotty. I mean, Sky Moore. I don't think you're going to get much of anything out of Sky Moore. It was the Travis Kelce, Rashee Rice show this past season 100%. For the offense. Obviously, wide receiver was a big issue. And now there's potentially some major issues off the field for your star wide receiver who just had his rookie season.
Yeah, you go from, okay, we hit on the second-round pick. He's our one. We added Hollywood Brown to be the speed to take the top off of a defense. Probably looking at like a second, maybe third, even fourth-round receiver because this class is so deep to kind of round out that room. You still have McCole Hardman, and you're feeling pretty good to now having Hollywood, which is still, I think, could be a viable one option in their offense, but now you're left with McCole, Sky Moore, and all the guys you just named outside of MVS, and now does your first-round pick have to be a receiver, if they make it past Buffalo and Baltimore, because Buffalo's probably going to take one at 28 now, so it just muddies all of this situation now 3 weeks before the draft.
Man, I would hate to be Veach right now.
Oh, 100%.
Having to go through and figure out. I mean, you already have pieces that you're having to figure out because now you've got Snead having left. You've got an offer out there. You got Clark his contract, but there's a lot of things that now you're trying to fill holes, and you took a lot of heat during the course of the season for what the wide receiver situation was. Man, bit of a hot seat right now. Bit of a hot seat if you're Brett Veach.
What a stupid decision.
Absolutely.
If this was what is speculated, now they were racing, we don't know that's for sure or not. It's just speculation. He has been accused of it from some media people out there, but I mean, all in all, if this was racing or whatever, or just being negligent, like what a stupid idea. Yep. He's a young guy. He's going to turn 24 this month.
Yeah, racing a rental car in a state where it's a felony to be racing on a highway.
Which I'm sure there's I don't know I don't know what the Kansas laws are, but I would imagine a lot of states have those kind of laws.
I didn't know that it was that serious, like it was a felony to be racing on a highway in Texas.
All right, we got to take our last quick break real quick. We'll finish hour one of the game next. Troy, got a couple of minutes before the top of the hour. The 2024 K-State volleyball schedule was announced today. I know you've had a chance to look at it. I'm looking at it right now. Anything stand out to you about this year's schedule?
The last four matches stood out to me, partly because of the challenge in terms of teams that they're going to be taking on, but also because of the stretch of matches that it is. A match at UCF begins the stretch, return home to play Kansas, travel to Colorado, return home to take on BYU. That's a matter of those four matches over 9 days.
Yeah.
With two lengthy road trips in there. You're hitting basically all three of the four time zones in a matter of 9 days.
A big thing to point out here is they're not going to be doing the double headers anymore.
No.
Like would K-State play two in a row at home against BYU back-to-back days? Beat them both in 3 sets.
One thing I did like, you have 3 Friday night home matches, but 2 of them are late in the season, November. mid-November and farther, so you won't be loaded up with conflicts with our high school football games around the area either to try to get people to. I know some people like the ability to be able to go and watch volleyball on Friday night and stick around for a home football game on Saturday. Saturday nights will turn into volleyball whenever K-State's not playing football that day.
Volleyball will start their season August 30th in West Lafayette, Indiana, which is the home of Purdue. Same colors. But at the Stacey Clark Classic against Purdue. That'll be their first opponent. My big takeaway as well, Oklahoma is on the schedule, but in the non-con.
In a tournament.
Yeah, and K-State going to be hosting them.
Well, it's brotherly love.
On Saturday, September 21st.
I mean, the Mansfield brothers getting together for a weekend.
That's right. Pretty easy one to schedule.
Exactly.
All right. Coming up next, we're going to be joined by Kansas City Stars Mike Hendricks to talk about the rejected stadium sales tax in Kansas City. Local news right now.